Hello sir, this is Sampriti. So today I'm going to present about cross-site scripting. So before going to cross-site scripting, actually cross-site scripting is a type in cybersecurity attacks. So before going to it, we'll be knowing about cybersecurity attacks. So what is actually cybersecurity attacks? We all know, we have seen many cybersecurity attacks in during COVID time. Like you'll be getting a message, and if you click on that message, uh, the data in your mobile will be going to the attackers, so that they will hack your mobile easily, and they will take money. So most of the cybersecurity attacks are mean to do for gaining money, but there are some attacks where they are done only for destroying a particular person's device, or for getting their uh, personal data from them. So what are the examples of cyber attack? So here are some examples where the cyber attacks and the types of data breaches. Identity theft, fraud, and extortion. In cyber attack, like they'll steal your identity, and then malware, phishing, spamming, spoofing, spyware, trojans, and viruses. So malware, phishing, these and all are the types of cybersecurity attacks. Next, stolen hardware such as laptops or mobile devices. Denial of service and distributed denial of service attacks, these two are also the types of cyber attack, where as I said before, like you'll be getting a message, or the attacker will be targeting a person victim, and they will send you like a flooded messages to make that particular device off, so that they can easily attack that device, and they will take the all data in that. Next, breaches of access, password sniffing, system infiltration, website defacement, private and public web browser exploit, instant message abuse, intellectual property theft, or unauthorized access. So these are the types. Now, what happens when a cyber uh, attack comes? So a cyber attack happens when cyber criminals try to gain illegal access to electronic data stored on a computer or a network. The intent might be to inflict reputational damage or harm to a business or person, or theft of valuable data. Cyber attacks can target individuals, groups, organizations, or government. Next, so there are lots of ways for preventing cyber attacks, but everyone should know about this prevention, so that the cyber attacks will be less. But there are so many ways, but still people are getting affected by these cyber attacks, so everyone should be aware of this. So there are seven key strategies we recommend to use to protect a small and medium business or organization from cyber attacks. Use multi-factor authentication. That means you should have so many options, like to enter your device, like password or fingerprint or something like that. Next, create a robust internal controls, manage third-party security, educate organizational employees, create data backups, keep entire systems updated, install antivirus software, and a firewall. Next, so we are going to the main topic, that is cross-site scripting. So what is cross-site scripting? A cross-site scripting attack sends malicious scripts into content from reliable websites. The malicious code joins the dynamic content that is sent to the victim's browser. Usually, this malicious code consists of JavaScript code executed by the victim's browser, but can include Flash, HTML, and XSS. So here is a picture where it explains what is cross-site scripting. There will be attacker, victim, and a website. So firstly, the attacker will be sending a message, script injected message or link to a victim's device or anything. So if the victim opens that link, and victim clicks on the link and requests legitimate website, then the victim's browser loads legitimate site but also executes malicious script. When the when the malicious script is executed, that malicious script sends victim's private data to attacker. So this is how the cross-site scripting works, and it is a very easy method for attackers when the victim actually believes believes the link that they sent. Cross-site scripting attacks are a type of injection in which malicious scripts are injected into otherwise beginning and trusted websites. XSS attacks occur when an attacker uses a web application to send malicious code, generally in the form of browser-side script, to a different end user. Next, flaws that allow these attacks to succeed are quite widespread and occur anywhere to web application uses input from a user within the output it generates without validating or encoding it. Like the flaw is like when the victim don't trust the given sent link. If they don't request for that link, then the whole process will be wasted for the hacker. An attacker can use XSS to send a malicious script to an unsuspecting user, and the end user's browser has no way to know that the script should not be trusted and will execute the script because it thinks the script came from a trusted source, and the malicious script can access any cookies, session tokens, or other sensitive information retained by the browser, and they use and the used with that site, like the malicious script which is sent by the attacker. It accepts everything, like it will be checking whether you are a robot or not. Everything will be very planned. These scripts can even rewrite the context of the HTML page for more details on the different types of XSS flaws. Next, what are the types of cross-site scripting? Actually, there are a lot of cross-site scripting. Like from the years, they're thinking that there are only three types, like stored, reflected, and DOM. But in reality, they actually overlap a lot. We can have both stored and reflected DOM-based XSS, and you can also have stored the reflected non-DOM-based XSS too. But that's confusing. So to help clarify things, starting about mid 2012, the research community proposed and started using two new terms to help organize the types of excesses that can occur. Like there are only two types now, like they are server excesses and client excesses. Server excesses occurs when untrusted user supplied data is included in an HTTP response generated by the server. The source of this data could be from the request or from a stored location. As such, you can have both reflected server accesses and stored server accesses. In this case, the entire vulnerability is in server side code, and the browser is simply rendering the response and executing any valid script embedded in it. Next comes the client excesses. Client excesses occurs when untrusted user supplied data is used to update the DOM with an unsafe JavaScript call. A JavaScript call is considered unsafe if it can be used to introduce valid JavaScript into the DOM. The source of this data could be from DOM, or it could have been sent by the server. The ultimate source of the data could have been from a request or stored from a location on the client on the server. As such, we can have both reflected client accesses and stored client accesses. With these new definitions, the definition of DOM-based accesses doesn't change. DOM-based accesses is simply a subset of client accesses where the source of the data is somewhere in the DOM rather than from the server. So how do cross-site scripting attack works? Like when attackers inject their own code into the web page, they accomplished by exploiting a vulnerability on the website software. They can inject their own script in that, and which is executed by victim's browser by clicking the link and all. Since the JavaScript runs on the victim's browser page, sensitive details about the authenticated user can be stolen from the session, essentially allowing the bad actor to target site administrators and completely compromise a website. Another popular use of cross-site scripting attacks are when the vulnerability is available on most publicly available pages of a website. In this case, attackers can inject their code to target the visitors of the website by adding their own ads, phishing prompts, or other malicious context. Depending on their goals, bad actors can use cross-site scripting in a number of different ways. So there are the most common ways are stored cross-site scripting. Stored cross-site scripting attacks occur when attacker stores their payload on a compromised server, causing the website to deliver malicious code to other web visitors. Since this method only requires an initial action from the attackers and can compromise many visitors afterwards, this is the most dangerous and most commonly employed type of cross-site scripting. So examples of stored cross-site scripting attacks include like profile fields such as taking our username or email, which is saved on the server and displayed on the account page. And the second one is reflected cross-site scripting. Reflected cross-site scripting attacks occur when the payload is stored in the data sent from the browser to the server. Examples of reflected cross-site scripting attacks include when an attacker stores malicious script in the data sent from a website search or contact form. A typical example of reflected cross-site scripting in a search form where visitors sends their search query to the server and only they see the result. Attackers typically send victims custom links that direct unsuspecting users towards a vulnerable page. From this page, they often employ a variety of methods to trigger their proof of concept. Next one is self-cross-site scripting. Self-cross-site scripting occurs when attackers exploit a vulnerability that requires extremely specific context and manual changes. So these specific changes can include things like cookie values or setting your own information to a payload or checking whether you're a robot or not. Next one is blind cross-site scripting. Blind cross-site scripting attacks occur when an attacker can't see the result of an attack. In these attacks, the vulnerability commonly lies on a page where only authorized users can access. This method requires more preparation to successfully launch an attack if the payload fails, and the attacker won't be notified. DOM based cross-site scripting, this is the last one. DOM based cross-site scripting attacks occur when the server itself isn't the one vulnerable to excesses, but rather the JavaScript on the page is. As JavaScript is used to add interactivity to the page, arguments in the URL can be used to modify the page after it has been loaded. By modifying the DOM when it doesn't sanitize the values derived from the user, attackers can add malicious code to a page. For DOM based cross-site scripting, the example is like the attack would be when the website changes the language selection from the default one to provided in the ULR. So how to prevent this cross-site scripting attack? Attackers leverage a variety of methods to exploit websites vulnerabilities. As a result, there is no single strategy to mitigate the risk of a cross-site scripting attack. The concept of cross-site scripting relies on unsafe user input being directly rendered onto a web page. If user inputs are properly sanitized, cross-site scripting attacks would be impossible. There are multiple ways to ensure that user inputs cannot be escaped on your websites. So there are some safety measures to prevent cross-site scripting. Allow list values, restrict user input to a specific allow list. This practice ensures that only known and safe values are sent to the server. Restricting user input only works if you know what data you will receive, such as the content of a drop-down menu, and is not practical for custom user content. And the second one is avoid the restrict HTML in inputs. While HTML might be needed for rich content, it should be limited to trusted users. If you do allow styling and formatting on an input, you should consider using alternative ways to generate the content, such as Markdown. Finally, if you do use HTML, make sure to sanitize it by using a robust sanitizer such as DOM Purify to remove all unsafe code. Sanitize values. When you are using user generated content to a page, ensure it won't result in HTML content by replacing unsafe characters with their respective entities. The fourth one, use HTTP only flags on cookies. Session cookies are a mechanism that allows a website to recognize a user between requests, and attackers frequently steal admin sessions by exfiltrating their cookies. Next, fifth one is a use WAF to protect against cross-site scripting attacks. You can use firewall to virtually patch attacks against your website. These method intercepts attacks such as XSS, RCE, or SQLI before malicious requests ever even reach your website. So these are the post-hack actions for cross-site scripting. In the event of cross-site scripting, there are a number of steps you can take to fix your website. First, locate vulnerable code. Second, remove malicious content and backdoors. Third is patch the vulnerability. Fourth is update your credentials. Fifth is set up a WAF. These are the post-hack actions. Thank you, sir.